Every phone you have ever charged, every electric car you have ever seen roll past you in silence, every home battery quietly humming in someone's garage. There is one thing they almost all have in common, and it is not steel, not copper, and not aluminum. It is lithium. Rare, expensive, geopolitically fought over lithium. Demand for it has grown so fast that mining enough the old-fashioned way from hard rock and evaporation ponds is straining the water and land available to keep up. That is not an exaggeration. That is just the supply chain. Lithium is the backbone of nearly every electric vehicle, every grid-scale battery, and every long-life electronic device on the planet. Think about that for a second. Entire wars of industrial policy have been fought over where lithium comes from, who refines it, and who controls the price. Because of that, the entire battery industry has spent 2 decades building itself around one core assumption: that lithium is not optional, that there is no serious alternative. But here is the part most people never hear about. Lithium is not just expensive to buy, it is expensive to find, expensive to extract, and increasingly expensive to secure because a huge share of the world's usable reserves sit in a small number of countries, and demand is set to outstrip supply for years to come. That imbalance creates fragility. A single mine disruption or export restriction can ripple through every factory that depends on it. So, when Chinese battery makers spent the last 2 years quietly pushing a completely different chemistry from the lab into actual cars and power grids, and European researchers ran an independent teardown that came back with an uncomfortable conclusion for the world's most famous EV maker, that was worth paying attention to. If you enjoy videos about the technologies quietly rewriting entire industries before most people notice, hit like and subscribe so you never miss one. Now let's get into the full story, because it starts much earlier than most people realize. Why nobody replaced lithium sooner. To understand why this moment matters, you first need to understand why nobody walked away from lithium decades ago. The answer is not that engineers weren't looking for alternatives. It's that lithium is genuinely one of the best performing elements ever discovered for storing energy, and replacing something that good is extremely hard. It is light, so it does not weigh a vehicle down. It packs enormous energy into a small volume, exactly what you want when every extra kilogram eats into range. It has decades of engineering knowledge behind it, so manufacturers know exactly how it behaves in heat, cold, and after years of use. The periodic table simply does not offer many elements that combine lithium's lightness with its energy-storing ability. The problem is not that lithium performs badly. The problem is where it comes from and how much of it there is. Usable reserves are concentrated in a handful of regions, and pulling it out of the ground or out of brine is slow, water-intensive, and increasingly contested. This is not a side effect of poor planning. Even with unlimited investment, there is a hard ceiling on how fast new supply can come online, because geology does not move at the speed of a factory expansion plan. Now multiply that by how much lithium the world's vehicle and energy storage industries consume every year. Global electric vehicle sales have gone from a niche curiosity to hundreds of millions of vehicles projected over the coming decade. Grid-scale battery storage is expanding at a similar pace. This is compounding demand stacked on top of a resource base that grows far more slowly. For years, researchers chipped away at the problem from the demand side. Some worked on making lithium batteries more efficient. Others focused on recycling old batteries. A few explored entirely different chemistries, but most never made it past small-scale prototypes because the economics never worked at true industrial volume. The question nobody had fully answered was surprisingly simple. What if the bottleneck was never about using lithium more cleverly, but about whether a common, practically infinite element sitting one row above it on the periodic table was waiting to be taken seriously? The element that changed everything. Sodium is not exotic. It is, quite literally, table salt. It sits in seawater, in underground brine deposits, and in mineral form on every continent on Earth, in quantities that make lithium's supply constraints look almost artificial by comparison. Chemically, it behaves in a strikingly similar way to lithium, moving through a battery's electrodes through the same basic ion shuttling mechanism. For decades, sodium-ion batteries were treated as a curiosity, not a contender. Early versions could not store nearly as much energy per kilogram, which made them unsuitable for anything light and long-range, like a passenger car. Researchers in China spent the better part of a decade methodically working through the chemistry, refining electrode materials to squeeze more performance out of an element nobody thought could compete. What happened next changed the calculus. Engineers found ways to raise energy density enough to make sodium-ion viable for real vehicles, not just backup power. Manufacturing bottlenecks that had stalled the technology for years were resolved, clearing the path from prototype to assembly line. Cells emerged capable of retaining the vast majority of their capacity in extreme cold, a condition where lithium batteries typically lose a significant chunk of usable charge. Cold weather performance has always been one of lithium's quiet weaknesses. But the most important change happened somewhere most people never think to look: raw material cost. Because sodium can be sourced from some of the most abundant materials on Earth, these batteries do not depend on the scarce, geographically concentrated minerals that make lithium expensive and politically sensitive. Manufacturing costs came in meaningfully below comparable lithium chemistries without sacrificing the precision that determines whether a battery is safe at scale. The results were striking enough to stop being treated as a research curiosity. Sodium-ion cells began passing national safety certification standards for vehicle traction batteries, the same rigorous testing lithium cells must clear. And here is the part that makes engineers sit up straight. Manufacturers achieved this without inventing some radically new, unproven architecture. The ion battery format the industry already knows how to build stayed the same. The element inside it changed. Independent researchers in Germany then ran a genuinely neutral, side-by-side teardown, comparing a commercial sodium-ion cell directly against a benchmark lithium-ion cell from the industry's most closely watched EV maker. Using X-ray imaging and precision electrical testing across more than 100 cells, they measured manufacturing consistency, power delivery, and cold weather behavior. When the results showed the sodium-ion battery could match the build quality and key performance benchmarks of one of the most advanced lithium cells in mass production today, the real attention began. The company nobody saw coming. While the sodium-ion story was unfolding in battery labs, one company had already spent years quietly building an entire commercial ecosystem around it, positioned to scale the moment the chemistry was ready. This battery maker spent nearly a decade and roughly $1 billion in research and development specifically on sodium-ion technology, long before most of the industry considered it worth the investment. The batteries looked deceptively conventional from the outside, cylindrical or blade-style cells, similar in form to the lithium cells already inside millions of vehicles on the road. But the internal chemistry runs on abundant, low-cost materials instead of scarce ones, built on the same manufacturing logic and production lines the industry already trusts. This company had already turned heads by becoming the dominant force in one battery chemistry, commanding a market share in the world's largest EV market that dwarfed every competitor combined. Sodium-ion was not a replacement for that dominance. It was an expansion of it, designed to serve a segment lithium was structurally never going to serve well. Short-range vehicles, cold climate regions, and grid storage where raw material cost matters more than squeezing out every last kilometer of range. What makes this more than a novelty is where it is already deployed. A mass-produced passenger vehicle powered entirely by a sodium-ion battery has reached dealerships, becoming the first commercially available car of its kind. And in a signal that the technology moved well past pilot stage credibility, a single energy storage supply agreement locked in tens of gigawatt hours of sodium-ion batteries over multiple years, described as the largest deal of its kind ever signed. Sodium-ion and lithium-ion are solving overlapping but different problems. One offers maximum range and energy density for vehicles where every kilometer counts. The other offers dramatically lower cost, better cold weather resilience, and freedom from a fragile, geopolitically contested supply chain. When you put a market that increasingly needs both range and affordability together, the combined shift in where global battery demand flows is far larger than either chemistry delivers on its own. And that combination is exactly what caught the attention of the world's largest EV maker. The world starts paying attention. News in battery chemistry does not usually travel fast outside industry circles. Certification standards take years to update. Automakers move cautiously because the consequences of getting a battery safety decision wrong are measured in recalls and, in the worst cases, in human lives. So when international interest in sodium-ion technology accelerated sharply within months, it was a sign that something genuinely different was happening. Battery manufacturers outside China began racing to catch up. A Swedish battery maker announced its own breakthrough targeting stationary storage. A UK-based sodium-ion developer was acquired by a major Indian industrial conglomerate to scale production for emerging markets, where affordability determines whether electric vehicles can compete with gasoline at all. An American company began producing high-power sodium-ion cells targeted at data centers, where reliable backup power matters more than portability. Total global sodium-ion cell production capacity, now tracked by industry analysts, has crossed hundreds of gigawatt hours, with shipment volumes growing well over 100% year over year. That is not the growth curve of a niche technology. What is driving this is not idealism, it is math. In a world where a rival's electric vehicles already outsell the most famous EV brand globally by a wide margin, and that rival is now expanding aggressively into sodium-ion production of its own, the cost advantage of an abundant raw material becomes a competitive weapon, not just a talking point. Cutting the price of your most supply-constrained component while gaining resilience against future shortages is not a trend. It is a repositioning of where a company's cost advantage comes from. For the world's most closely watched EV maker specifically, the pressure is layered. Its own next-generation battery format was designed around squeezing maximum energy density out of lithium chemistry, built for a strategy where range and performance are the primary selling points. That approach still holds a real advantage. At roughly double the energy density of current sodium-ion cells, lithium remains the only realistic choice for long-range vehicles. But the segment sodium-ion is targeting affordable, shorter-range vehicles, cold climate fleets, stationary storage, is exactly where volume, not headline performance, determines who wins market share over the next decade. And that is where competitors building sodium-ion capacity at scale are positioning to compete on price in a way lithium-based rivals structurally cannot match. Independent lab testing showing sodium-ion cells can now match lithium-ion on manufacturing consistency removes one of the last credible objections automakers could raise. It is no longer a question of whether the chemistry works. It is a question of how fast the industry adapts to a world where lithium is no longer the only serious option. How big could this actually get? The numbers attached to the potential scale of sodium-ion adoption are almost hard to believe until you remember how much of the world's future energy infrastructure runs on batteries. Industry forecasts suggest sodium-ion could eventually capture a meaningful share of the total battery market, not by fully replacing lithium, but by taking over the segments where lithium's advantages matter least. To put that in perspective, that would mean tens of millions of vehicles, along with a substantial share of new grid-scale storage installations, running on a battery chemistry that barely existed commercially just a few years ago. One shift in raw material choice applied to even a third of applicable battery demand, reshaping which countries control the critical minerals underpinning the clean energy transition. But turning a promising chemistry into a global standard is a long road, and it is important to be honest about where that road gets difficult. Battery safety certification moves slowly by design because the cost of getting a battery failure wrong is not just financial. Every country adopting sodium-ion at scale needs its own independent safety testing, its own regulatory approval, and its own supply chain for materials different from the ones the existing lithium supply chain was built around. There is also the honest limitation of physics. Sodium-ion batteries are unlikely to ever match lithium's energy density closely enough to power long-range performance vehicles or applications like aviation, where every gram matters. That gap is not something better engineering will simply close. It is closer to a structural ceiling, meaning the two chemistries are likely headed toward permanent coexistence rather than one fully replacing the other. None of these limitations change the underlying reality of what the chemistry has already proven. They simply define the gap between what is technically possible and what will actually happen at scale. What is clear is that for the first time in a very long time, the basic assumption that lithium is the only serious choice for battery-powered transportation and storage is actually being tested in the real world, not just in a research paper. Real vehicles are already on real roads, running on a chemistry that most of the industry dismissed as a dead end less than a decade ago. That is new. And given how much of the clean energy transition depends on batteries, a shift in which raw material sits at the center of that industry does not stay small for long. If this video changed how you think about what is actually inside the battery powering your phone or your next car, give it a like and subscribe for more videos about the technologies quietly reshaping the world. Turn on notifications so you never miss one. And I want to hear from you in the comments. If an alternative this viable has been sitting on the periodic table the entire time, what other obvious substitutions do you think are hiding in plain sight right now?